Welcome to Chicken 101. Today we're gonna cook an entire bird. I'm even gonna show you what to do with all those pieces that you're not sure what to do with. We're making lemon roasted chicken, tortellini soup with homemade chicken broth, and cheesy chicken enchiladas. We're gonna use the whole bird. We're gonna reduce waste. That means we're gonna save money, but we're also gonna create a ton of flavor and have meals for the week. It's gonna be delicious.
Life can be a struggle, but a good meal doesn't have to be. We can make creative, nutritious, and inventive dishes that won't break the bank. We'll eat well and save money, because that's what we do. Welcome to Struggle Meals.
So we're gonna start by cooking the whole bird. This is lemon roasted chicken. Crispy, cooks quickly, the whole family's gonna love it. Let me show you how to do it. So we could roast the chicken whole like this, tie it up, but you know what? It's gonna take a long time to cook, and the pieces are not gonna all cook at the same rate. So we're gonna do something a little different. It's called spatchcock. It means you remove the spine, you splay it out, it cooks faster and more evenly. Sometimes when you buy a whole chicken, it comes with the neck and some other organs in the cavity. You definitely wanna take these out, but you shouldn't throw them away. They are gonna fortify any stock you make in the future. I'm gonna save these, and we're gonna use them for our other recipes. It's definitely important to dry off your chicken because dry equals crispy, but also it'll be a little slippery as you're trying to handle it. So some paper towel is perfect for this, so you can throw it right away. So here's the top of the chicken. You got the two breasts right here, and you got the legs. So we're gonna flip it over, and here's the tail. So that means we've got the spine going along here, and we wanna remove this piece. So I'm gonna get a good grip on the tail here. I'm gonna take my kitchen scissors. I'm gonna cut to the side, not down the center, but I'm gonna cut to the side. It is butchery. We are breaking bones. You need strong scissors. And you're gonna hear bones break. So I'm gonna flip it over because I'm righty and come down the other way. We literally took the spine of the chicken out. This is gonna be fantastic for making a stock. So let's put it with our other bits. Now we need to break the rib cage. Kind of grab right here, put your hand right here, and push down. And that'll lay the chicken completely flat. Spatchcocking's pretty easy. That was about 90 seconds of work. I'm gonna set this aside. It's all done. I'm gonna wash my hands, and then we'll prep the veggies. We got a bunch of vegetables right here. They're gonna get really, really flavorful from the chicken schmaltz that renders out as we're cooking them. I wanna keep the onion pretty full because it's gonna be in the oven for a while. Smaller pieces will disintegrate. So I'm gonna go with these big, nice chunks here. So I've got 8 nice half-moon wedges. Okay, I've got some carrot. If you're only gonna use one thing in addition to chicken, it should be lemon. Got some potato here. Potato's gonna be delicious with chicken. So I'm gonna go in half the long way and then slice into smaller pieces. So we've got our vegetables all cut up. They're gonna absorb all that chicken flavor and be delicious, but I think we should add even more flavor in the form of herbs. Now, I'm a big fan of buying the herb in plant form because you can set it in the window or just outside the front door. Pay for it once and it'll keep growing free food for you. I'm thinking rosemary and thyme are gonna be great. Actually, I know they're gonna be great. They're classic chicken herbs. Herbs in the pan. These are sort of like our tea bags that will infuse the chicken from the bottom up. Get a little bit of thyme. I'm gonna lay lemon slices right on top of our herbs. Oh, we're gonna take our spatchcocked chicken. We're gonna put it right on top of our lemons and herbs. Chicken skin is pretty oily as it is, but this is gonna give us a little more flavor and some glue that we can use to make our salt, pepper, and garlic stick to the skin. Chicken can take a lot of salt, and I'm a big fan of the kosher salt because it's big, flaky, craggly, and you can feel it between your fingers and really develop a muscle memory for how much salt you're using. Pepper, a whole bunch of chopped up garlic here. And I'm really just gonna massage that right in. Get it into these crevices here. Haphazardly Jackson Pollock this. So now I'm gonna give my hands one final wash and we'll finish this off and get it in the oven. Now we got the clean hands. We can hit our vegetables with a little bit of olive oil. Before the chicken fat renders out, we gotta have a little bit of olive oil to get these things started. Otherwise, they're gonna get dehydrated. Coming along the top with some salt. Coming in with the pepper too. Ta-da! Woo-wee! So because we spatchcocked this chicken, it's gonna roast a lot faster than a traditional whole bird. I'll be back when you're nice and crispy. This smells really good. I've gotta let it rest. That way when I cut into it, the juices won't run everywhere. I want them to stay inside the chicken. This is rested, and now it's time to carve it up and serve it for dinner. I like to start with the thighs. Just look for those joints and cut right on them. Straight down and drumstick, thigh. Same goes for the wings, not so tough. Now let me show you the breasts. So I'm gonna come straight down with the knife here, and you'll feel immediately you'll start hitting the breastbone, and that's when you kinda wanna just twist the knife. Pulling it like that. Save all that extra meat and the bones because we're gonna use them in other recipes. Let's plate up our lemon roasted chicken. Just to add some freshness to all this roasted deliciousness, I'm gonna garnish with some parsley. Man, this looks fantastic. What an awesome dinner. It's only $3.41 a serving. This smells amazing. Let's dig in. Juicy and delicious, a perfect balance of so many flavors. Fantastic chicken that is perfectly mashed with these mellow vegetables, but yet there's a little bit of cooked lemon in there to cut through the richness of the chicken schmaltz. And spatchcocking is the key to make sure you get this food on the table faster than the traditional methods. This is just the beginning of our chicken journey because we're about to use the rest of this chicken in some other delicious recipes. It's time for a little Chicken 101. When you break down the chicken yourself, it's the most economical, and it also allows you to cook each of the parts in the best way possible. The breast is all white meat. That means it can dry out if it's not cooked properly. Next up is the leg. The top portion is the thigh and the bottom is the drumstick. Both are dark meat, and that means they're fattier and full of flavor. And then there's the wing, which can be broken down into two parts, the drumette and the flat. They're obviously delicious with buffalo sauce, but they're also a great addition to your homemade chicken stock. Sometimes inside of your chicken, you'll find a little bundle of organs. These are called giblets. That includes the heart, gizzards, and liver, and sometimes the neck. Don't throw them away. These are great for stocks except for the liver, which you can saute up in a pan and spread on toast or add to hearty ragouts. Save the carcass and the bones and make stock. That's free flavor, so don't be a chicken. Just buy the whole chicken and use all the parts. The real true key to saving money in the kitchen is making sure you use everything. We're taking those leftover bones and any scrap meat, and we're gonna make a delicious stock. And that delicious stock, which is free flavor, then turns into a fantastic tortellini soup. It's so easy, let me show you how to make it. It starts off by making our very own chicken broth. I've got my leftover bones here, they got a little meat on them. We got some organs, and I've got a few vegetables. They're not necessary, but I've got them. Here's how easy it is. Onion, cut it in half. And then we've got carrot, onion, and celery. Only need to cut these into thirds. I'm cutting everything in big pieces, so it's really easy to retrieve them after all their flavor's been released into the broth. Onions are going in, carrot and celery going in. I got a bay leaf. Our star ingredient, the bones from the meal that we had before. All this goes in. Ton of flavor and aroma. If you got neck, kidneys, hearts, any of those things, this is a great place to use them up. We're adding all the organs, but not the liver. I always like to add some black peppercorns, whole. Just for a little more freshness, we're gonna head over to the herb garden and get some thyme and parsley. Got some parsley, and we've got some thyme. And I'll put that right on top. Really important to remember that you should never put any salt into this stock because salt really limits how much you can reduce and intensify the broth because it would be too salty. Salt doesn't evaporate away. So we're just gonna pour some cold water over top. The idea behind using cold water is it'll take some time for everything to come up to temperature. And during that time, flavors will slowly extract, which is good. Turn on the fire. You don't have to do a whole lot while this is simmering and extracting flavor, but you do have to skim all that foam that floats to the top. Those are impurities, and we don't want them in our broth. This is done when it looks like broth. We discard our big pieces. And you might say, Frankie, I thought this was no waste. How could you possibly get rid of this? All you gotta do is try this and you'll see it is completely flavorless. The flavor is in the liquid now. This is literally just flavorless fiber at this point. I'll take my broth and strain it right through a fine sieve to catch those peppercorns and any other little things that I left behind. All right, so we left behind 2 bones. Ah, the bay leaf. Yes, you definitely do not want to ingest that. Fantastic. We've got our stock on the stove. It's unseasoned. Now we're gonna season it and really turn it into a broth. Quite flavorful, but it does need salt. Kosher salt coming in, very nice. You can give this a little stir, and we'll give it another little taste. Man, there's nothing like a fresh homemade broth. So good. We're gonna cook some store-bought tortellini right in our broth. It's a thin, fresh pasta, so it'll cook through really quickly. You can find these in both the refrigerated and frozen section. Doesn't matter, they both work. So you wanna make sure your broth is up to a nice simmer, and we're gonna cook our tortellini right in the broth. Give this a nice stir so nothing sticks. These should be ready in about 6 minutes. That gives us just enough time to pop over to the herb garden to get even more flavor. Chives! They're the most delicate member of the allium family, and they're gonna give us a nice zing. I like to run the knife back along the chives and really let the blade do the work. Time to check on our tortellini. The tortellini are done, so now we can add spinach and it'll wilt almost instantly. The heat of our broth will be just enough to wilt it. That's it. I'm turning off the flame. I've got my ladle, I've got my bowl, I'm scooping in tortellini. You can smell the fresh chicken broth. I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of chive, and I'm feeling spicy today, so I'm gonna hit up the package drawer for some red pepper flakes. This, of course, is optional, but it is free flavor. This wants to be eaten. It smells fantastic, it looks delicious, and it's $1.60 a serving. That broth is fantastic. It cannot be matched by anything that you purchase in a store. It's salty and spicy from the peppercorns and also from the chives, which are fantastic. So delicious. The key to this is making your very own broth at home. Feed this to anyone and they'll know you put love into it. Simplicity is the essence of this dish. Man, is it good. Hey, don't go anywhere because I think I'm gonna be able to get a third meal out of this chicken. It's time for a struggle challenge, and something tells me this is going to involve chicken. Let's see what we've got today. I'm saving my giblets for soup stock, but I read that I'm not supposed to add the chicken livers because of their strong flavor, so what else can I do with them? Livers are definitely a strong flavor, and there are recipes that both celebrate this unique flavor and others that mellow it out. I guess the question is, what other ingredients do you have, and how many livers are we talking about? All right. That's a lot of livers. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do, but I do know that I would like this to appeal to people that don't even know that they love liver yet. So let's head over to the pantry and see what we've got. Let's have a look in the fridge, and we've got liver has a really strong flavor, and if we use some cream and butter, it'll mellow it out. Thyme, onion, cream. I think we can make it even fancier. Back to the pantry. Pate on crackers. I think it's brandy. It's gonna be fantastic. I'll cook off the livers, mellow out the flavor with some cream and herbs and onion, hit it with a little bit of our brandy. The other thing that's really important is that it's super smooth, and I just need one thing. Hang on one second. Mrs. Robinson.
Yes, dear.
Can I borrow your food processor?
Well, there you go.
Thanks so much. We better get started. I got a saute pan. We're gonna a little bit of heat, just warm it up. Let's have a look at these livers. So I'm just trying to pull some of the moisture off. Butter is gonna start capturing that very metallic taste and mellowing it out. Salt. I'm gonna be pretty aggressive. We're just gonna saute our livers right in the hot butter. I'm just gonna start letting that cook out. We've got an onion. Just wanna break things up enough that they cook evenly. I know it doesn't look super delicious, but don't let that get you down. Gotta trust me, it's gonna be great. Thyme, gamey and intense flavors are always mellowed out by thyme. Some black pepper coming in. Livers are going right into the food processor. They'll keep cooking through. I'm coming in with more butter. All right, we got our onions. Some salt with our onions, help draw their moisture out, intensify their flavor. Got a little bit of ground clove here. The nutmeg is definitely going in. This is smelling fantastic. The onions are cooked down. We want to get even more flavor in there. We need two things. The first is some eye protection. Brandy. So we're gonna take it off the flame. We're gonna pour a little bit into our pan like this. We will. Da-da-da.
It is so good. It is going to be so delicious. There's no way around it.
Fantastic. Now we're just gonna have the deep, dark flavor of the nuanced barrels that this stuff was aged in. So we've got all of our flavor coming in now. And now I'll puree until smooth. So we should add some cream to slowly cool and homogenize the whole thing. This looks great. It is wonderful. I'm gonna cover these up and stick them in the fridge until I can spread the pate with a knife like warm butter. I'm gonna convert some people into believers. Our pate's been hanging out in the fridge and hopefully now it's spreadable. It occurred to me that I forgot to put a thin layer of oil to seal the whole thing. Plus it looks really cool. We're definitely losing points for that. Now, visually, how does the pate look? Here we go. It's clear that I used a little bit too much cream. Visually, not very appealing. This is a 6.5 for looks. Flavor, let's see where we're at. Great catch. Very delicious. My big problem right now with the taste is actually the texture because I didn't add enough butter. It needs more butter so that it can set up, but the flavor is strong. And I give it an 8 on flavor because I'm so close. That adds up to 14.5, which into 20 is 72.5, which is a C-. But hopefully you can see the basic steps and go for it. I love a good chicken liver pate. Thank you very much for this challenge. And if you've never had it before, I hope now you've become a believer. We've made a bunch of recipes. Maybe you've got a little bit of scrap meat left over. Maybe you've got a lot of scrap meat left over. It doesn't really matter because this next recipe is gonna stretch however much or little you've got. I'm talking about cheesy chicken enchiladas. They're gonna be juicy, they're gonna be spicy, and they're gonna stretch all that last little bit as far as the eye can see. I've got a poblano and I've got a red bell pepper. Cut off the top, cut down the side here. Really wanna take all the seeds and veins out. All the heat is in the veins, so you can take the veins out, and that way you can control how much heat by adding spice after. So I'm just cutting these pretty thinly so they'll cook through very quickly. Let's get a little butter in a hot pan. The most elegant figure skaters. We're gonna throw our peppers in with the butter. I'll hit this with a little bit of salt to help break down the peppers and draw some moisture out. Let's chop a little garlic. So I always like to add the garlic when there's some other ingredients in the pan because I feel that they protect the garlic from burning. So now that the peppers have reduced in size, I'm gonna add some spices. Chili powder here, cumin, paprika, and some black pepper. This intensifies the flavors a lot more than just sprinkling these spices on at the end. I've got my shredded chicken here. This came from our carcass. This is what I've got left over. It doesn't matter if you've got a ton of chicken or a little bit of chicken. So I've got, I would say about 1.5 cups. It's time to add some broth. It's gonna make it extra juicy. And guess what? This came from our carcass too. Whoa, 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 whoa. Drop the stone! So I'm really looking for all this liquid to be absorbed up by the chicken. I'm just gonna let it simmer for a sec. This has simmered and it looks great. We're gonna make a cheesy queso sauce. Some butter. I'm gonna add an equal amount of flour to my butter. All I'm looking for here is no lumps and to cook that raw flour taste out of the flour. Great, so I'll add some cream, just a little bit like this. I've got the heat on really low here. I'm looking for smoothness. But you can see how that butter and flour just absorbs this cream like it's nothing. It ain't cheesy sauce unless there's some cheese. So I'm gonna grate some up while I wait for the cream to come to a simmer. So I'm using some pepper jack cheese here. It's got a little extra spiciness. And it's really important that you grate your own cheese because if you buy pre-grated cheese, it's 1, more expensive, and 2, has all kinds of anti-caking agents that are not gonna work so well in this sauce, which we hope to be fluidious. So I see some bubbles on the edge of my sauce here. I'm gonna turn off the heat. Now I'm gonna add my cheese in a little bit at a time so it doesn't seize up. I'm whisking it for 10-15 seconds until it melts, and then I'm adding a little bit more. Don't add it all at once. Coming in with a spoon, I just want you to see, look at how beautiful it is. It's not lumpy. It's velvety, it's fantastic. I've got some diced green chilies here. This is gonna bring a little bit of acidity. It's gonna add some color, and it's gonna give us a zing. For even more heat, hot sauce. Pour that in. Boom, 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 boom. Take a test. Velvety, luxurious, and spicy at the end. All the components are ready for a perfect enchilada. Let's set up the assembly line. So we've got a baking dish here. We're gonna take a little bit of our queso. Just creating a little non-stick situation here in the bottom of our baking dish. Very nice. Boom, 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 boom. I've got a flour tortilla here. Now we fill our enchiladas. Let's take some queso and pour that right over top. We'll go like this here. I like to fold the whole thing over, kind of scooch it back, and then do that. Seam side down. They get the rest of our queso sauce right over top. I cover this up with foil. Bake this for 25 minutes like this covered, and then I'll rip that top off. We'll continue baking until that queso is nice and bubbly. Into the oven! Woo! This smells fantastic, but one cannot deny that it is quite rich. That's why I'm pouring some salsa verde over top. This is made with tomatillos and cilantro. Yes! This really looks fantastic. It's $2.98 a serving. It's salty, it's sweet, it's spicy, it's extra juicy, and it's creamy from that cheese. And you gotta remember, you can use a little bit of chicken or a lot of chicken, so this is highly flexible. It's gonna be great no matter what. So the flavor's there, the cost savings are there. This recipe's the whole enchilada. Today we bought a whole chicken and that saved money. Plus we learned how to use all the parts, which left no waste. And that means the next time a recipe calls for chicken, you won't have to wing it. I bought a whole chicken with plans to roast it and then my oven broke. Aw. Any ideas for what I can make using a microwave, crock pot, or stovetop? If you don't have an oven, the easiest way to cook a whole chicken on the stovetop is to braise it. If you think of coq au vin, it's literally a whole chicken in the olden days cooked in red wine. You should do that for sure. But you could also break down the chicken into individual parts, make all kinds of pieces on the stovetop in a saute pan, and freeze that carcass for a soup. Then you get multiple meals out of it.